Okay, hey everybody, thanks for being here with us. I'm Katie Earle, I coordinate our University Express program, and we're here with Donna Wysokenski. She's going to be our speaker this morning. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you, Katie.
We're glad you're here. Quick housekeeping stuff. We are recording this session, and we'll see if it ends up being able to be posted, but stay tuned for that. And while Donna goes through her presentation, feel free to put any questions and comments you have right in our chat. So we're just using the chat today. So as soon as you think of something, put it in there, and we will have a couple polling questions that when I release them will pop up on your screen so you can participate if you want to. But we're going to have some fun today. So we'll quickly thank our sponsors, which is my Department of Senior Services, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, Celsius Orthopedics, and Wegmans for all their support. And Senior Services is always here for you. If you have any questions about programs, services, or benefits, we're at 858-8526. So, Donna. Donna has a degree in Environmental Science and Policy from Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. Her background includes environmental sustainability, environmental justice, public health, and toxic use reduction. While working in Massachusetts, she designed and conducted green cleaning workshops for over 300 people. As part of the Environmental Health Study for Western New York team, Donna coordinates educational opportunities focused on environmental health issues. That's why she's here today. Donna, thanks. The floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, Katie. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to know that all of you are here and interested. So I'm excited, and I hope that you're excited too. One of the first things I want to say, and for those of you who are on the phone, I will do my best to explain the slides, but we have my website, the website of the Environmental Health Study up here, and this PowerPoint is on the website except for maybe one slide. So I want you to know that if you don't have to madly take links or notes, because most of this information you'll find on our website. So I just want to let you know that before we start. So again, as Katie said, I work with the Environmental Health Study for Western New York at UB. And today, what we're going to be talking about is the health and the environmental effects of chemicals that are found in some household cleaners. So we want to go over that, how chemicals are regulated in the products that we buy at the store, and then how you can find safer cleaning products. And as well, towards the end of the webinar, we're going to talk about doing it yourself, which is the resources to make your own cleaning products. And I'll provide that booklet for you too. We have a booklet for recipes. And so for those of you who don't know what the Environmental Health Study for Western New York is, I just want to say that the study is an epidemiological study. It's a long-term health study, and it focuses on understanding how pollutants that were emitted by the Tonawanda coke plant, as well as other pollutants that are common in the environment, have affected the health of residents in the surrounding communities. That's the project in a nutshell. And if you're interested in the effect of Tonawanda coke, there will be another person from our team. She's a research scientist that will be talking on November 17th at one of these webinars you can register for here at the Senior Center. And you can just register. It's called Tonawanda Coke Historic Land Use. And it's on November 17th in case you're interested. So, okay, let's begin this webinar. One of the first things to talk about is body burden. And some of you may have heard about this term, or maybe not, but what it is the total accumulation of toxicants in your body. And we begin accumulating toxicants from our environment in our body in utero. So while we're still developing as a fetus, anything that our mom is exposed to, we may be exposed to. And then once we're born, of course, we're going to be exposed to toxicants either from our outdoor environment, our indoor environment, or even from the food that we eat. So in this slide, and for those of you who are on the phone, I'll explain it. The outdoor environment, some of the ideas behind this is that we could be exposed to toxicants from air pollution, from pesticides, even from pharmaceuticals in water, and from a lot of other sources outdoors. We could be exposed to toxicants through our food. This could be from pesticide residues in the food that we eat, or any kind of artificial food colorings or other ingredients in our food, such as nitrates and nitrites, which are often found in processed food, processed meats especially. PFOA. PFOA, you may think of this as the chemical that is used in non-stick pans, and it stands for perfluorooctanoic acid. And PFOA is a chemical that is known as a POP, or a persistent organic pollutant. That means that it doesn't degrade easily in the environment or in our bodies if we're exposed to it. And PFOA contamination is growing in our society. And you may heard in the news actually contaminants in water systems around the country. And then there are some chemicals found in meat and fish. So if you go to our website, there are some videos that I've produced. One of them is called Nutrition and the Environment, and there you'll learn more about chemicals found in foods. And then in our indoor environment, and here's where we want to concentrate because this is where we're going to use our household cleaners mostly. So we could be exposed to toxicants in our indoor environment from our home, our schools, our workplaces, and also from hobbies we may do. And these contaminants or these toxicants can come about from our furniture, so they can off gas from our upholsteries or the material our furniture is made out of. Cleaners, this is what we're going to be talking about today. Rugs, tobacco smoke certainly is an important indoor air pollutant, and personal care products even, like our shampoos and our soaps, our laundry detergents. So you can see that more than 85,000 commercial chemicals have been produced in the last 60 years. And just to say that after World War II, many different chemicals were being produced for the war effort. And after the war ended, many of these chemicals were then just grandfathered in without testing and used in many of the products that became popular in our society. So 62 about 1,000 of these 85,000 existing chemicals were just considered safe and grandfathered in without testing. And then there, since 1979, 23,000 newly developed chemicals have been produced. So you can see that there's a lot of chemicals in our commerce right now that are in products that we use every day. So here is the question that Katie will put up for you. And this question revolves around: how much time do you think an average person spends indoors? So you have a choice between 50% time indoors, 65%, 80%, or 90%. So I'll give you a few seconds there to take the quiz. And Katie, I'm not seeing anything on my end, so I'll leave it to you.
We'll give it another 20 seconds and then I'll close it and release the results because we have a couple people, it looks like they're thinking.
Okay.
Folks, make your answers. I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You should be seeing the results, Donna.
Okay, so most of you don't have an answer to that question, and some of you, two of you said 90%, one person said 80%, and two people said 65%. Okay, so in this next slide, we can see that we spend in the United States about 90% of our time indoors. That could be in our workplaces, in our homes. Probably those are the two major ones, or if we're going to school, in school. So that's a lot of time that we're spending indoors, exposed to any kind of air quality issues that we're inhaling in these indoor environments. A lot of times when people think about air pollution, they're thinking about the smokestacks outdoors, or they're thinking about, something outside. But actually, it's been found that some concentrations of some pollutants are 2 to 5 times higher indoors than outdoors. And in terms of these pollutants known as VOCs, these are volatile organic compounds. They can be up to 10 times higher indoors than outdoors. VOCs are something you'll think of as that new car smell or that new rug smell. These are chemicals that volatilize or become air in our air at room temperature. And again, they're found in our cleaners, disinfectants, any air fresheners we might have, aerosol sprays, and other items in our house. These, then you want to think really about the people who are the most susceptible to this. And this is children, because children often spend a lot of time indoors, especially if they're younger, elderly, and people with any kind of cardiovascular or respiratory disease, such as asthma or COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And just to give you a sense of it, there was a study done and it used gas chromatography and mass spec. These are two lab methods. And this team analyzed these 25 different products. They took common air fresheners, laundry detergents, fabric softeners, dryer sheets, disinfectants, soaps, shampoos, deodorants. And they looked at what kind of VOCs are being emitted from these products. And they found that in these 25 common products, there were 133 unique VOCs. And only 24 of those VOCs were classified as toxic or hazardous under at least one federal law. Only one of the 133 VOCs they found were listed on any of the labels in those products. And only 2 of the 133 were listed on any material safety data sheets. So that's something to be aware of, is that when you buy something, not everything may be listed on the label. And we'll talk a little bit about that again in a different way. So have you ever heard anybody say these kind of things? Or maybe you said it. My bathroom, I don't think it's clean until I smell that bleach smell. Or I always buy antibacterial soap because I want to keep away germs. Or I like all these different fragrances that they put in cleaners or candles or whatever because they make my house smell so good. We're going to be talking about bleach and fragrances a few slides from now, but I just want to mention antibacterial hand soap. According to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, there isn't enough science to show that these over-the-counter antibacterial soaps are any better at preventing illness than just plain soap and water alone. So plain soap and water are just as effective. And so to date, the benefits of using antibacterial soaps have not been proven. But there has been a question of this widespread use of these products over the long term for potential negative effects on our health. And so when the FDA looked at this, they began to see that there was no reason to put these antibacterial ingredients in soaps. And so they have a final ruling in which they ruled that these over-the-counter consumer antiseptic products, they could be in our liquid foam or gel hand soaps or body washes, containing most of these types of antibiotics, will no longer be able to be marketed. So you can't find these on the market. And some of these antibacterial ingredients include triclosan, which we'll be talking about, and trilocarbon. Those we can't have in our hand soaps anymore. So here's another question for you. Katie will be put up. So I hope that you can answer these. So has anybody here ever experienced any kind of reaction when using a cleaning product. So have you ever had a headache or trouble breathing or watery eyes or anything like that? Has anything happened to you when you used a given product? And we'll wait a few seconds.
So I'm seeing quite, some yeses. If you want to put in the chat what you experienced, then I can read those out to Donna as well. We'll give it another 20 seconds, Donna. Is that okay?
Yep.
Don't be shy, folks. I know there's a couple of you that haven't participated yet. That's okay. But if you're not sure how to, you just select your answer and then I believe you select submit. I will release the result. And then one person gave their symptoms. So Donna, I'll read those to you in a second.
Okay. So most of you said no, that didn't have an answer, but 5 of you said yes. 5 of the 6 people who responded did say yes, and 1 person said no. So Katie, what was the one?
We have coughing and watering eyes.
Yes. So thank you for whoever wrote that in. That is a very, very common thing to happen. And especially, when you're using a cleaning product, always, and you may have already done this, but open the windows and try and get some air moving in. But yes, I just wanted to remind people that some of the chemicals that are in cleaning products are linked to health effects. And these health effects can be either short term and you experience them immediately, like those watery eyes that you mentioned. And you could have skin irritation or respiratory irritation. For people who have asthma already, these strong smells can trigger an asthma attack in people. But also some chemicals, especially like uh, more acidic products, especially toilet bowl cleaners or other kind of products, can cause chemical burns. And these are immediate, very serious effects that can happen. And in fact, in the Poison Control Center, especially with children, you have to worry about these chemical burns and any of these with children. And remember that children's bodies are still developing, their organs are still developing, and they can be particularly susceptible to some of these. But then there's these long-term chronic effects that can happen even if, so when you're using things for a long period of time, very frequently, and you're exposed to these things, some of those chemicals have these effects of cancer, hormone disruption, asthma, and reproductive and developmental problems, as well as liver and kidney damage and central nervous system damage. And this can be particularly shown in some studies that were done looking at asthmagens. These are chemicals that cause asthma, that induce asthma in people. And these studies were done with janitors who, when they started their profession, didn't have any sort of problems. But over time, many of these, a significant number of these janitors developed asthma because of the kind of chemicals that they were exposed to during cleaning. So want to go over here some of the chemicals found in cleaning products. These are very common in many cleaning products. And these have these large names. I had a much longer list, but I just narrowed it down to a few of these because it's funny that you'll see these sorts of names if you look at a bottle of something that you might be buying in the store. And phthalates are one of them. Phthalates you'll see often in fragrance products. And they're found in a lot of products because a lot of products have fragrances in them. Often a business will say that these fragrances, because it took so long to develop the particular fragrance, are a trade secret. That means that you cannot know what exactly those chemicals are in that fragrance. Triclosan, as I told you when we talked a little bit about those antibacterial soaps, used to be in antibacterial soaps. It also used to be actually in toothpaste. Some toothpaste used to have triclosan in it. Triclosan is also known by the names of Microban, which you'll find still in clothing. I know that in some commercials you'll hear this word, Microban, and BioFresh, and it may be put into products to deter bacteria from growing, but they may also be found in some products like dishwashing liquids. Ethanolamines are a group of compounds, but on the back of the label you might see MEA, DEA, and TEA. These are all short abbreviations for the longer chemical names. They're slightly different chemically. They're often found in laundry detergents and spot removers. So you see that these are found everyday things you might have in your house. Ammonium quaternary compounds are also short known as quats, and they're often found in disinfectants and also toilet bowl cleaners and sometimes in all-purpose cleaners. Alkyl phenyl ethoxylates are a group of chemicals, including nonylphenyl and octylphenyl ethoxylates, and these are found in many things like floor cleaners and multi-surface cleaners. And then 2-butoxyethanol. The hard thing about a chemical like this is that it's known also by many different names. And so Dowanol, EGBE, and they're found in glass cleaners as well as degreasers, carpet stain removers, and other things. And if you look here to the right, you'll see what sort of things these particular chemicals are linked to. And here you see asthma 4 times in this list, with phthalates and ethanolamines and quats and 2-butoxyethanol. Endocrine disruption. So endocrine disruption is the same thing as hormone disruption. It means that a chemical may mimic a hormone. So in our body that we don't need a lot of hormones. It may be estrogen, it may be testosterone, it may be thyroid hormone. Our body really closely regulates our endocrine system, and we only need a little bit when we need it. But it's problematic when there's these chemicals in our society that mimic a certain kind of hormone, and that disrupts our endocrine system. Some of that has been linked to breast cancer. So reproductive problems are another thing that you may see a couple times here in this list. Some of these are environmental toxicants that may persist in the environment. And then our kidneys and our liver are the organs in our body that really help us when we're exposed to a toxicant, get rid of the toxicant as our body breaks down or tries to break down this toxicant. And that's why some things are specific kidney and liver toxicants. I also want to mention that with alkyl phenyl ethoxylates, this kind of group of chemicals, often ending in oxanol, this little oxalate here. These can be, because of, they don't mean to produce this, but in the production of whatever this product is using these chemicals, these particular chemicals, the byproduct of some of the chemical reactions happening in making this product means that 1,4-dioxane can be produced. This is a contaminant in some of these products, and it's a carcinogen. So the EPA says that this is a likely human carcinogen. And in fact, it's so concerning that New York State has recently enacted legislation to limit the amount of 1,4-dioxane in household cleaning and personal care and cosmetic products that are sold or offered in New York State. So these could be deodorants, household cleaners, shampoos, cosmetics, and some pharmaceuticals. So we have another question for you, and that question Katie will put up, and it revolves about how many different chemicals you think can be in one different fragrance. And I'll let you take your guess from 50, 100, 1,500 chemicals in one fragrance or 3,000 chemicals in one fragrance.
Do the same thing. I've got a couple people thinking here, so we'll give it another 20 seconds. Right, looks like someone's still thinking about it. Just gotta click submit. Close. Oh, it's making me wait another 20 seconds now. Sorry about that. Okay, I can release the results. There you go.
So most of you said 100, a few said 1,500, and one very aware person said 3,000 because that is the right answer. We have a lot of chemicals around in a fragrance, and these may be also in perfumes. There's a bunch of chemists that are working at making things smell like lilacs or lily of the valley, etc. But a lot of these chemicals, and they include parabens and the things that we already talked about, which is phthalates and octoxanols. These are all the chemicals that could be in a fragrance. And when these things break down, these chemicals, so let's just say we spray an air freshener in our house. Some of that, you can smell obviously in your house, but then those little micro droplets are going to fall down on your rugs or on your furniture or whatever. They begin breaking down, and these breakdown products can persist in the environment. And by the environment in your house, I also mean house dust. So no matter how clean you are, you're going to have house dust in your house. And when you walk on your rug, when you pick up a piece of paper from your desk or something like that, that house dust has settled. And by doing that, you're disturbing the house dust and re-putting those chemicals in your indoor environment where you're going to breathe it in. So this is some of the way that we are exposed to house dust, and little children, especially, they're crawling around on the floor and things like that. They actually ingest twice as much, I think it was, house dust as each of us daily, because we do ingest house dust daily, and which some of these sometimes chemicals are attached. And the most concerning biological action, as we talked about, is this ability to some of these chemicals to mimic or block our normal hormone functioning. And the health effects of these endocrine disruptors include diabetes and thyroid problems, immune problems, birth defects, reproductive problems, and cancer, because all of these things have some, the hormones play a role in many of these issues. And here we are as consumers, and we're going to want to do the best thing for ourselves and our family and our environment. And so we find this so very confusing because there's all these complicated ingredient names. There's these lots of different names for the same chemical ingredients. So we're trying to remember all these things. All those ingredients, as we talked about, aren't always listed on the label. Sometimes there's families of compounds like MEA, DEA, TEA that are slightly different chemically, and they also may have slightly different health and environmental effects. And then, as we talked about with 1,4-dioxane, there may be impurities in this product that may also be health hazards to us. So all of this makes our lives kind of confusing if we want to try and do the right thing and really make our lives healthy or healthier. So I want to give you some tools to do that. And two tools. One will be the recipe booklet that we'll talk about and how to make your own. And one will be these databases where you can get some more information about the products you have in your house, or even like products that you want to know if they're any safer. How can you find that out? So let me tell you one way that you can find that out. And for those of you who are just on the phone, uh, try and remember EPA Safer Choice. Safer Choice is a label. You might see this in the grocery store, wherever you buy your cleaning products, on some products. Really, they're not yet on a majority of products, but they are on some. I actually have, my dish detergent has this on. And the Safer Choice label means that it met EPA Safer Product Standards. And so this label is what's known as a third-party certification. That means that this Safer Choice, if in order for a product to get this label on it, it had to meet certain criteria that assures you that they are much more healthier for you. So that's why you want to put this, think about Safer Choice. And so if you're looking at this slide, I took a screenshot of the website. And what you'll find in this upper right-hand corner, and those of you who can't see this right now, if you look at it, if you go to the library or on your computer and look at Safer Choice EPA, you'll find this database. And there you can browse either the full product listing of all the products that have Safer Choice label, or you can find the Safer Choices to use in your community. But then on the right here, on the right of the slide, they also give you a way to search by the kind of group of products that you're looking for. Are you looking for all-purpose cleaners, dish soaps, floor cleaners, etc., car care products? So you can click on, you can use either one of these to get the database that you're looking for. Now, I wanted to show you here, if you click on Find a Safer Choices to Use in Your Community, you're going to see this map come up. It's a little cartoony kind of map, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's not that clear, but all these different buildings show you what might be possible in your community. It's a stadium, a school, a hotel, an office, and a home. And so I clicked on home and took another screenshot. When you click on the little home, the thing that looks like a little home, up comes another way for you to find Safer Choice products. And this gives you a larger group of categories to search from, even including pet care products. Window and glass cleaners, toilet bowl cleaners. So here is a good resource for you, and it's the third-party certified resource. Now, another resource that I find very helpful comes from the Environmental Working Group. And the Environmental Working Group has a Guide to Healthy Cleaning database. This database I like. You can see here it has safety ratings for more than 2,500 products. And what I like here is that they really try and keep up to date with the kind of products, because, we're always getting new and improved or products on the shelves, which make it really hard for us to understand what's going on. Here is a good database, very large database, where you can find out about these products. So I wanted to show you how this worked. So in this search category, I put in Simple Green. Now, Simple Green all-purpose wipes. And when you do that into this website, first of all, what you're going to see is an icon of the product picture, and then a major score, overall score of this product. This particular Simple Green all-purpose wipes gets a D plus rating. So kind of goes like your report card, A through F. And then the first thing you're going to see is 5 major categories: asthma and respiratory, skin allergies and irritation, developmental, reproductive toxicity, cancer, and the environment. And it kind of rates it generally on those 5 major categories. Here you see that the environment has some moderate concern, and the other categories all have some concern. And then underneath that, you're going to see that you can there search for a better general purpose cleaner. So if you clicked that, you would get some ideas of all-purpose cleaners that get a higher score than D. And then what are the top scoring factors for this Simple Green is that it had poor disclosure of its ingredients. It may contain ingredients with potential for digestive system effects, and it has blood-related effects and general ecotoxicity. Toxicity for the environment. And then below this, and I did the screenshot here, it becomes a list of the individual product ingredients and their score and their health and environmental concerns. So this is just a clip of the longer list of ingredients in Simple Green that are listed on the bottle. Or this container. And the first one is preservatives, and preservatives is a sort of a general category, so it's a high concern, and then they tell you why. And it gets, preservatives in general get a score of F, and there's a particular concern with formaldehyde that has some concern around cancer. So whether or not this particular ingredient, Simple Green, has formaldehyde in it, we're not quite sure because it probably just says preservatives. The next ingredient in line is 2-butoxyethanol, which we talked about prior. That's the one with all those names, different names. And then it'll start telling you what its health concerns are. So this is a really good resource for you. And here I wanted to pick up Simple Green because a lot of times if it says green or natural or eco-friendly, a lot of times we're like, oh, you know what, that's probably better for me than anything else. But it doesn't necessarily mean that. It may, but it may not. And that's because these words doesn't have any like real third-party certification meeting. It's not like Safer Choice label that's third-party certified, and you know that once that label's on it, it means something. These words don't necessarily mean something in particular. So I want to talk just very briefly about regulations of chemicals, because you might wonder why it's on the shelf when it's not safe. So back in, when we talked about at the beginning, back in after World War II, all those 63 chemicals were just generally regarded as safe and put into our commerce. And people began seeing health and environmental effects, and they were calling for regulation. And the Toxic Substances Control Act came into being in 1976, but it was a very weak law. And one reason it was weak, it was the first time that industrial chemicals were regulated actually in the United States, but it was a really weak law because the underlying assumption was that things are safe until they're proven unsafe. And that means it can be on the shelf for years, decades, before problems start. And the EPA, because the health and safety data not required by the manufacturer under TSCA, but the proof of safety fell on the EPA. And this was very, very hard for EPA to prove that something was unsafe. It took a lot of years, a lot of litigation, and often it was really hard for something to get off the shelf. So that meant these products could still be on the shelf, even though there were some health and environmental problems that began being emerged. So here's a little quick look. This original TSCA that began in 1976, one of the things was that the economy was in the picture here. So that means that if, for example, there was the EPA had to do this burden of proof to look at whether or not, what was a cost benefit analysis, and if the cost of the economy of removing this chemical from the economy was, the cost was much higher than the health and safety or the health and environmental costs, then that product was still allowed on the shelves. And you can see here that there was this, as I mentioned, a high burden of proof for the EPA to demonstrate unreasonable risk. And so that was a multi-year process. And these claims that were for confidential business information, just like I mentioned, a trade secret with fragrances, this was very broadly claimed by industry. And that meant that the EPA could not even share this information with health or environmental professionals, and that was problematic, and that confidential business information lasted for the lifetime of the product. So there was this problem, and so people then after 1976 still began seeing these health and environmental impacts, and they wanted to strengthen this law. And one of the pushes to strengthen this law was actually something that happened in Europe, which is called REACH. And that was the EU, the European Union's chemical safety reform. And that made it really much harder for US companies to compete on the global market. So now companies began to see a reason why they wanted to look into certain chemicals and make them safer, because they needed to sell these chemicals and these products on the global marketplace. So this revised Toxic Safety Substances Control Act came about in 2016 during the push from Senator Lautenberg. He was from New Jersey. It's known as the Lautenberg Act. And so now one of the great things about this, it still is not as strong as it could be, but a good thing about this is that its risk is based only on health and the environment, not cost. So here, cost is secondary, and the first concern with EPA at looking at these is the health and in the environment. And in this revised law, vulnerable populations, children, the elderly are explicitly protected. So this is a really great thing. And there's a lot more transparency, because companies now have to really justify to the EPA their claim to confidential business information. They can't do it as broadly, and these claims expire after 10 years, and states and healthcare providers are given access to this information. So that transparency alone is very helpful, along with making health and environment a priority. So when you look at something on the label of a product you may have in your house, you're going to see words like danger, poison. This means that they have the highest hazard. This means that they are probably like on your toilet bowl cleaner. If you have a really strong acid toilet bowl cleaner, it could be in your oven cleaners, because some of them are strong bases. It may be in bleach, because bleach is a strong base. Less hazardous, that's a caution and warning label that you'll see. It's not as dangerous as these words, but still problematic. And then safer is if you don't see these words at all on your product. You want to really look at the label. I don't know. Once I started learning more about this, I began looking at labels much more carefully. You want to make sure you use the right dilution, because if you use too much, a problem, you're wasting your supply, putting it down the drain, exposing yourself to more. But using less is also could be problematic, because it's not as effective as it could be. You want to use the adequate ventilation and follow the directions, like opening your windows, wearing gloves, etc. Now, when you go and shop, again, you want to shop if you can for products that have that safer choice label, but also look for products that list all the ingredients, that say that they're biodegradable, that are plant-based, not petroleum-based. So this is like a Castile soap, which we'll talk about, is plant-based. A pH neutral. This is really important. So you don't want things that are real strong acid or a real strong base. Packaged in a pump spray. Use a pump spray rather than aerosol, because this aerosolization chemicals are also can contaminate your house. A pump spray doesn't have those aerosol chemicals. And then again, our third party labeled, or look at the, you may want to look at some databases. So this last question for you, Katie, will be putting up for you, and we'll just do that rather quickly. What do you think? Disinfectant is a registered pesticide. Is that true, false, or only some of those disinfectants are?
People are thinking about it, Donna. You have another 15 seconds. Okay, it looks like we've got everyone that's planning on participating, so I'll close the poll. And there's your results.
All right, so only some are was the majority of the answers. And let me tell you that they are registered pesticides. This is a pesticide is considered a fungicide, a bactericide, which will kill bacteria, something that will kill a virus. These are all registered pesticide. They have to be registered by the EPA, and they will be registered. This is why, don't use pesticides when all over your house. Use it only when you need to and only when you need them, like when body fluids are involved, when feces is involved. And we can go over some of the things around like this time of the pandemic and COVID. Um, but these are registered pesticide, which means you have to be careful of them. You want to use them correctly. And here's something some people don't realize. If you look on the back of a disinfectant bottle, you're going to see which pesticides they're meant to kill. So it means that you need to look for the pesticide that will kill what you want. Not all pesticides or disinfectants will kill the same viruses or bacteria. And the other thing it'll say is a contact time. So that is when you spray a pesticide, let's just say on a surface, you have to leave it to the appropriate contact time, whether that's 10 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever the label says, because if you don't, that's not going to kill the bacteria or viruses that you think it will. So you're not going to spray it and just immediately wipe it off with a towel. You want to leave it on this appropriate contact time. And then remove dirt from a surface first before you disinfect it. That's very important. Very, very important. Never ever mix bleach with any other kind of chemical because a toxic gas can be produced. This has been problematic for some people. It could even land you in the hospital. So especially if you're going to be sticking your head in using a bleach and sticking your head in any kind of enclosed space, an oven, like a bathtub, you're like leaning over the bathtub to clean it, a small room, really never ever mix bleach with any other chemical or cleaner. And then people with asthma or heart and lung problems really should not be using bleach or ammonia because that could really make your condition worse. Now, I want to just go over disinfectants during COVID-19, very important. EPA has a list of registered pesticides and disinfectant products that are qualified for use against SARS-CoV-2, which is the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. And you can find this list on our website. On the EPA website. This slide, for those of you on the phone, is not on our website slide deck. So I'm sorry I added it in afterwards. But if you put that in EPA registered disinfectant products for COVID-19, you will get that. So now in terms of disinfectants, though, there are some disinfectants that are safer to use than others against SARS-CoV-2, and they have the Design for the Environment, DFE label. This is very similar to the Safer Choice label, another third-party certified label. If you get onto this website on the EPA, you have to remember to check the box, disinfectants for use against coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, and when you do that, it's going to pop up with a list of safer disinfectants. These may be disinfectants that may not have quats in them, but may have some combination that they've tested of peroxide or thymol or some other disinfectant products at different concentrations that are safer. They may not be asthmagens for you. So that may be useful for you to take a look at if you'd like. And then the CDC also has guidance on cleaning and disinfecting your home during COVID-19 pandemic. And you may already be familiar with some of this, but please take a look. And again, this is the one slide that is not on our website. All right. Now, here's what I use to clean my house. We have about 10 minutes, and this is what I'm cleaning my house with, not disinfecting, but cleaning it with. And so this is my cleaning array. You'll see that I have here baking soda. I'm sure everybody has baking soda in their cupboard. Vinegar. I'm sure you have some vinegar, olive oil, healthy oil for you, lots of polyunsaturated fats there, and water. So I'm almost sure everybody on this webinar has these products. Now, the only other product you may or may not have is Castile soap. The one that you're going to find most frequently, I know it's at Wegmans. I'm pretty sure it's at different drugstores and different places, is Dr. Bronner's or some other kind of Castile soap. Now, I know Dr. Bronner's because that's the one I see mostly in the stores. That is a plant-based soap, and it's very gentle, and often you're going to see it in either unscented or that comes in different scents, especially you'll see peppermint and lavender. And so these are my mainstays. Uh, and then this microfiber cloth, and you want to get a good quality one. And then a mozo bag or bamboo charcoal. So I want to talk about microfiber cloths for a second and bamboo charcoal, because a lot of people love this idea of the mozo bag. So in terms of microfiber cloths, again, get a good quality. It's a human-made product, so it's not like your t-shirt and you ripped it up and are using it to clean your counters or whatever. It's special. It has millions of tiny fibers on it that attract dirt, dust, and bacteria. And so a good microfiber cloth can remove 99% of bacteria from a surface just with water alone. So just with water and this microfiber cloth. So that's why these microfiber cloths are really great, that there are millions of tiny fibers that help do this job just with water. So one of the things of caring for your microfiber cloth, and this you might want to write down, is never use hot water. Always use kind of cool or lukewarm water. Never expose it to heat. So don't put it in the dryer or some kind of hot cycle. Nope. Never use a fabric softener or a dryer sheet or in your washer or your dryer. And then never wash it with terry cloth towels or socks and things that have a lot of lint, because that can get into those little tiny fibers that you can't even see and disrupt its ability to remove all that dirt from the surface. So that's a little hint for you. The other thing is these mozo bags, and mozo bags are made out of bamboo charcoal. There are other brands. This is the one I know, but if you go on the web and look at mozo bags or bamboo charcoal, you're going to find other brands. And bamboo, you know, has all those holes in it. So when you make charcoal out of it, it has a really big surface area. So for an example of these products, they're packaged in a burlap bag. So it just looks like a burlap bag. They come in different sizes. I think sometimes you can find them in PetSmart because people with pets will use them to absorb odors, but I found them online. So what it does is it's this piece of burlap bag stuffed with bamboo charcoal. It has a little grommet in it so you can hang it up. And so they're different sizes for different areas of your house, a closet, a shoe, a bigger room, whatever. And then what you do is you hang it, remove it from the package, and hang it in let's say your closet smells musty. You'll hang it in your closet, and after a month, you take it off the hook and you put it outside, preferably in the sun, but put it outside for a day. Take it back, not in a dry place, not like if it's raining or something, and then put it back in your closet and leave it there for another month. Take it out, put it outside for a day, and you keep doing this month by month for 2 years. That's how long the product will last. So it's very sustainable in that way. It's also so non-toxic that after the 2 years of rejuvenation every month, the product has probably lost its lifespan, and you can put it around your flowers and use it in your flower bed, let's just say. So it'll degrade naturally, and it's just a safe product. So this is lovely. And when I did one of my workshops for a work group that I did, they had a very bathroom that smelled musty. I told them about this. I gave them one, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is great. Give me more." So that's just what I can say to you. They're safer, they're simpler, and they're cheaper. And now some people have asked me, what do these green cleaning ingredients do? Baking soda, that's why you put it in your fridge. They absorb odor, they deodorize, they clean. It's a mild abrasive. White vinegar, again, it's an acid. It's a weak acid, but it's an acid, so you're never ever going to mix this with bleach. And it'll cut grease, it'll deodorize, dissolve soap scum really well, especially if you put it with baking soda, and things like that. Liquid soap, Castile soap, Dr. Bronner's, olive oil. This is used, and you may want to try a different lighter oil, because sometimes olive oil can make your furniture, this is used for dusting, a little sticky. As it breaks down. So you have to do a little research there about different oils. And then if you want a little scent or something, use an essential oil. And this recipe booklet that you can download will tell you, like if you don't have an extract, which is very concentrated, it'll tell you you can go to your bakery aisle and get like a fragrance, and like for baking, like a um, lemon cake or something, and use a pure one. And then you have to use a little bit more, and it gives you have to use 4 times more because it's a little more dilute. Here's a great green cleaning recipe that you can get from our booklet. 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of Castile soap, 2 teaspoons of vinegar, half a teaspoon of baking soda. That's it. This has been tested in a lab and found to be the same as some very common all-purpose cleaners. You mix it in a spray bottle, spray it on a surface. All you need to do is wipe it with a damp cloth. The damp cloth will help remove the thin soap film. So again, here's our website where you can exactly find this under our resources tab. You're going to find recipes for toilet bowl cleaner, also glass cleaner, oven cleaner, and more, and also includes helpful tips and information. So here's the thing. You might want to think to yourself, how much do you spend on average every month on household cleaners? I've had people tell me they spend, like their estimate was $50. So let me tell you that I went and did this kind of research. I went over and I used my recipe booklet and put in these 3 ingredients, the baking soda, white vinegar, and the Dr. Bronner's soap, which is going to be the most expensive thing in my bucket, was $19 in my bag. Then if I made as much cleaning, all-purpose cleaner as I could with it, and I had leftover baking soda and white vinegar, which I could still use to clean my toilet and my oven. So then I calculated how much of a same amount of pre-made cleaners would it cost me, and I used 4 different kinds of all-purpose cleaners, 4 different kinds of toilet bowl cleaners just to get an average, and it came out to $47. So here you see that to make the same amount of ingredients, you really save about $28 in your budget for making it your own. Again, if you're really moved, some people have given the all-purpose cleaner and some of these recipes to their friends for Christmas. If you're going to go that route, don't throw your old household cleaners down the drain or in the street, because it really will pollute the water and harm aquatic life. You want to dispose of them properly, and if you live in Erie County, you can do this freely at household hazardous waste drop-off days. They're usually in the spring, summer, and in the fall. I'm not sure they have any more this year. So you want to check their website or call them at 858-6800 for more information. And again, here is our website, and we also have a Facebook page. So if you'd love for you to join our Facebook page, you can find these workshops under our resource tab, and then you can download our recipe booklet. Finally, just ask you, and I think Katie will send this to you. I'd love for you to take the short workshop survey, which is located here. Um, it's anonymous, but we use your information to help improve our workshops. And you can also give us some ideas of other workshops that you may be interested in dealing with your home, the environment, and your health, and how those relate together about the environment and health. So we're really grateful for your feedback. And we use it to improve our workshops. So I want to thank you so much for this webinar. I think it's almost time. I'm sorry it went a little long, but I hope that you do have some questions for me. If you do, Katie will let me know, I guess.
Thanks, Donna. We have someone that says, I noticed your website lists an environmental, or the Western New York Environmental Health Study. Is this ongoing?
Yes, actually, I can tell you that the health study is ongoing. It is for people in the city and town of Tonawanda and Grand Island. And anybody who has lived, still lives there, has lived there, or has worked there or works there. So that's the catchment area. It's like I said, it's a long-term ongoing health study. So you can learn more about it at our website and learn more how to link in if you want to, participate in it.
Thanks, Donna. I'm just seeing two more things here. This is, would it be better if we suspect nothing obviously harmful, not to clean some areas too often?
Could you give me an example of what you might think of?
Um, Mary, I'm not sure if you want to give anything a little bit more specific, but I'm almost wondering if the intent is that if you're using the other harmful chemicals, but not as frequently, maybe is that still okay? If the
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I
my
think,
perspective, maybe not
okay,
hers,
I don't
but
know if that, yeah, yeah. So if that's what you mean, like, yes, you're right that it surely depends upon for your own health and your family's health. It not only depends upon the chemical, so the toxicity of the chemical, but how long you use it, and how often you use it. Those are all pieces of the puzzle, for your own health. Often when I talk about this to people, I have people have said, "Oh, you have such a different outlook on things," but I actually think of the supply chain as a whole. So I think myself, what community is living near that factory that's making large amounts of this? And what worker is being exposed to this? And if I have the opportunity to find something less hazardous for my own health, I'm also making that whole chain healthier as well as the environment, because at the end of the day, whatever ingredient you're using, it's going to go down the drain or in the landfill, and therefore impact us more down the road.